Hello everyone and welcome to our show. This is Ursula for a fabulous edition of the Ottawa Book Expo. And before I introduce you to my very interesting guest today, please mark your calendars and save the following dates because as you know, our main event will take place from the 26th to the 28th of August at Lindsay Park at Ottawa. So we can wait to see you there. And today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the very talented Dr. Malik Hakim. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us, and thank you for being here with us today. So you are an experienced management consultant and author. You worked with multidisciplinary groups to solve complex problems, right? You have a lot of professional skills, actually, like, for example, in the US Food and Drug Administration, so the FDA, verification and validation, in design control, in corrective and preventive action, and technology transfer. So you have an impressive career, right? And you also wrote various books, and this is why we are here today. And one book in particular actually caught my attention. It's the book One, The System. And why did it catch my attention? Let me read you just a bit of the summary. Now, more than ever, we need one another to find solutions that are a win-win for everyone and the planet. So that's why One was conceived. It's a simple three-step system developed from many disciplines of knowledge. I'm very curious. Can you tell us more about, well, first, your book, but also this concept?
Yeah, so I think one is it's a bit of a Christmas surprise. There's a reason why it was coming up for Christmas. It was in reaction to all of the polarization I see around the world today. And polarization is what I do for a living. I work with cross-functional teams. They're always working through challenges together. A lot of it is not technical as much as it is person to person, understanding each other, trying to translate one another's perspectives to each other. And what I find when I work in those types of very charged environments, like the environments we see today, across different countries and within a country over different issues, political, social, environmental, I find that the people themselves really just need to understand each other a little better. When they understand each other a little better, then more solutions can come out, more win-win solutions. And I'm a very fond believer. Stephen Covey was one of my great book mentors in my life. And I believe very much in the win-win solution. And I followed ever since I read his book. I followed the win-win scenario in my life. So to me, it's the book One is a three-step system to allow two individuals or two groups with different polar ideas how to actually work together for a win-win solution, and how to in the first step is about observing one another, observing first of all the verbal, nonverbal cues. Then you go into a negotiation process where you understand what are some of the must-haves and nice to haves, and then you finally empower one another. Remember, and it's funny because it's counterintuitive, because you're not empowering yourself, you're empowering the other, right? To take on those things, and that builds trust and that builds understanding. And you work from a place of understanding and trust. And I use this every single day at work, and it helps make corporations millions of dollars, and in terms of getting their growth, getting solutions out the door, getting products out the door. I work with academia, same thing, same kind of situation there. And now I want to apply it in the public sphere. I want to use that same system that I use in those industries in the public sphere. And in the book, we'll actually talk about an environmental issue that we're facing, a political issue that we're facing, a war, a potential war that we're facing, and a educational issue that we're facing. We'll actually show how the actual system gets applied with actual solutions. And globalization, we'll deal with globalization versus nationalization as well.
It's very interesting, everything that you said. So I will go back to some points because there's so much material there and it's very interesting. I like the fact that you say by knowing each other and by empowering each other, well, ourselves first, we are doing it with the other persons, right? And this is very interesting because, well, you have your website, malik.ai. We will share it for our editors, obviously. But there's one thing that I noticed. You invite people to know themselves, as you said, and on a video on YouTube, actually, that you posted, it's called "It's Just Me, Everyone Needs to Speak." You say that specific sentence that I love. I can only ask you to be you if I'm prepared to be me. And it is so beautifully said. And the past years, actually, we saw people looking for who they are, searching for their purpose and knowing themselves. How can you explain that? And how can you encourage people? Because obviously you know a lot about that. So do we need something to know about ourselves, or what do we need if we need something?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful question, by the way, and thank you for that question. I think the main thing that when I see individuals and people is that I see opportunities and potentials. I've never met a single individual in my life, and I've been very honored to meet thousands of them, that hasn't had a perspective on life that is so unique that it just blows me away. It's truly fascinating, but you have to go through several layers to get to it. On the outset, it seems, like I've got nothing to learn from this individual. And then after you interact and you sort of peel away the layers, you start to see something really special. And it started me on this quest of really realizing that we're really very unique. I think, there's a big misconception in the world that we are more alike than we are different. I believe personally that we are more different than we're more alike. I believe we are more different in fundamental ways. We see the world differently. We see a single apple differently. We see the way we look at our families, our children is different. It's not the same. We're very unique and very complex in the way we're set up. And I believe strongly that diversity is essential to understanding a better picture of the world. That if we even leave out one perspective, and I know this sounds very idealistic, if we even leave out one perspective, we're missing that snowflake of a perception that is like a piece of a puzzle in this big tapestry of life. And I think it's very important for us to capture as many of those perspectives as we can. And I certainly do this on a day-to-day basis. If I've got a room filled with 10 people or 50 people, I try to work through every single one's perspectives to bring it into peace, especially when they're dealing different teams and different functions. We try to bring in as many perspectives as we can, and the solutions are astounding. It's amazing what happens when we can bring in all those perspectives together, and the systems that I use to kind of make that happen, make it very simple for everyone to kind of contribute their piece. And and the solutions themselves are multidimensional. And that's why sometimes we say, you know what, we have all these problems. We have poverty, we have homelessness, and I'll be tackling some of those. The reason why the solutions haven't come across is that these different groups from different areas haven't quite figured out how to work together to come up with the solutions. And I think, and it's the perspectives that can't sort of fit together, and everyone sort of wants to solve it, but don't know how to solve it together.
Right. It's again beautifully said, and I encourage people actually to listen to your podcast, Why You Matter, because what you just said, we can find it at some point in this podcast, and it's such a beautiful and positive perspective and invitation actually to listen to others, to accept the opinion, and by accepting, I mean it's not agree with what the others say, but just listening and accepting that there can be another point of view, which make life, powerful and rich. So I do encourage people to listen to that podcast again on your website. And going back to what you said regarding poverty, illness, and those situations, you say something You say a lot of beautiful things, by the way. You
So
say,
sweet, thank you.
you say that the goal of your work is to build on these initiatives, actually to find solutions regarding, well, to reduce and eliminate poverty, illiteracy, illness, and injustice through raising the voices of those most affected by these problems. We will find out of the box solutions that create new ways of being. Now, my question for you, what do you mean exactly by new ways of being?
That's amazing. I first of all, thank you so much. I'm very honored that you actually looked at all this and read all this. And I think it's wonderful. And the question is very relevant today. We're not going to be able to find different answers to the same problems we have if we keep listening to the same people. And not just the same people, but the same type of people, right? I have a very loud voice. I can be in a room, and believe you me, you'll know I'm in a room, right? But you know what? The ones I learn the most from are the people that are very quiet, those that don't say anything, those that have nothing to offer, and they catch my attention right away, because when I meet with them, whether it's through the meeting, because sometimes they don't want to be called out, or after, it's incredible what they have just assimilated, what they've just experienced. And those individuals need to be brought into the fold. It's the invisible ones, the ones that don't speak, the ones that are silent and really don't want to take on the limelight. Those are the ones that have really key perspectives to allowing us to really think out of the box. But if we keep taking, all those voices that really are the ones that, get up above a crowd and start speaking and talking all the time, which is great. They're wonderful. They're wonderful leaders, right? That's great. That's fantastic. But we're only going to see one kind of perspective. We're only going to see one side of this multidimensional aspect of life. And we're not going to be able to solve out of the box solutions as with a greater propensity without bringing in those other voices, the silent voices, into the fold.
It's interesting because, as you said, everyone has different perspective and different experiences. So by listening to others who do not spontaneously take the lead or don't speak, doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say.
Yes.
So
they
that's
usually astound me, Ursula. When they talk, it's incredible because they've spent their lives listening and assimilating. And when you listen and assimilate, it's incredible what you learn. And so they have an incredible perspective.
It's very interesting. There's a saying, it's you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them proportionally. And this is interesting because listen more than you speak, and you will learn more. And then have more things to share if you want to share. So I love that. And I would like to go back to some other works, other books that you wrote, because you wrote a lot, right? And so you wrote the book Finding Hope, so simple proven tools to improve your outlook on life. You also wrote the Universal Declaration of University, Baba and Teta, and hopefully I pronounced it well, Higgins Post, right? Manage Your Store, which is more a book for entrepreneurs. What does inspire you to write?
I think for me, the key element is taking what I've learned and applying it in the public sphere, because I think all of my life I've been trying really hard to build the tools that I need and getting them tested in different aspects of industries. But really, to be honest, I'm really quite nervous and I'm really quite anxious to see how they can be used in society, in the general public. And this is really my first entree out. So I've been, a lot of those books are experiments, but Hope and the Universal Declaration of Diversity in One are my first sort of entrees out to the world, my first solutions. And Hope is fantastic because it's a 4-step system that I've used all my life to get me through university, get me through, hard times, being a single father at some points, and just trying to figure out how am I going to make it through the next day. Hope really brought me forward. It's founded on psychology, on a lot of psychology principles and neuropsychology principles. And it allows us to reverse those negative cycles, thought, emotional cycles in our brain, and get them to be positive so that we can find opportunities in our challenges and look positively at things. Because I can't help, like, I guess everybody else, what happens to me. The only thing I can do is I can take action, right? I can only affect, how I behave and how I take action. Hope helps us and helps me every single day. I use it every single day to kind of find in a simple 4-step system how I can recenter myself and build on my strengths so that I can find that missing opportunity, that missing gem in what may look initially like a big problem or a big issue, right? And really helps me grow. So I'm looking forward to seeing how other people feel about it. I'm looking forward to even, hey, Malik, this works. Hey, Malik, no, this doesn't work. Or, I'm really looking forward to hearing all the different voices and perspectives around it to see, really where is it the strengths of these systems and where are the weaknesses so that I can further build on them.
And this is one question I wanted to ask you because you expressed, personal experience on your books. Mm-hmm. Things that you learned, things that you experienced. I was curious about knowing what do you want people to feel when they read your books and your knowledge, actually.
Well, to me, I just want them. What I would hope is that in some little way, it was some value for their time, right? Because I know their time is precious, and I feel so honored if someone even read a word of mine. I mean, I'm really just flabbergasted you read all this stuff, right, already. So I'm still reeling from that. But I mean, if somebody spent a bit of time reading, I just hope that it's of value. And if it isn't, I would love to hear about it, because that to me is very valuable too, so that I can improve what I'm doing. I can make it more translatable. I can make it simpler if it's too complex. Whatever it is that individuals need to say, what, this is okay, but this could be better, and I can improve it that way, and I'm more than happy to do that.
It's interesting because we go back to listening to everyone's opinion, and everything is useful,
Yes.
Even so that's amazing. Can you tell us where we can find your books? Because that's the question.
Yes, you can find my books on Amazon under Malik Hakim. You can also find it on malik.ai. There's a link to there, and malikhakim.com. There's a link there for the books.
And I really invite people to visit your website, because we can find your podcast, your video on YouTube. So we can find obviously your books, but also you share kind of some little blogs, if I can call them like that, like you share some thoughts and some thoughts, and it's very interesting. Like, there's such a beautiful way of seeing the human being, and we need that. Actually, we need people who see the human being as someone or something, a spirit, something positive, that people who can do good stuff, and not every time hearing that negative narrative regarding humans and the mistake that they make. So if we want something positive, I invite people to visit your website. And I like the fact that, as I said, we can find, we can see your thoughts, your emotions at some point in various ways. So you express yourself visually with videos, with your voice, with the podcast, with writing, with your books, all right?
Yeah.
My question will be more like, how do you feel when you express yourself, and why do you choose to use all those channels to express yourself? And why I'm asking that is because usually people express themselves through one channel, and I find it interesting that you do it with every tools that you have. So why that?
Well, because I fully believe in the diversity of individuals, and every individual is different, as we mentioned, and they see the world differently, and they adopt usually one or two media, that they use. So I want to get the word out there because I want this to be as useful as possible. I'm selfishly wanting to get all those perspectives back. If I could get every perspective back, I would. It would be amazing. That would be the gift of a lifetime for me. But you know, for me, so I have to be respectful to all the different ways that individuals see the world and the media that they use, and I want to make sure that I address that, and I try to find ways to communicate that way. And I'm actually expanding that to different languages. I'm expanding that to individuals that, you know, are in some way can't read or can't see or anything like that, or can't hear. So I definitely want to provide a plethora of different media to ensure that everyone with a diverse way of looking at the world and seeing the world can you know, take a look at this and see if it's of any value for them.
And I like that, because at some point it helps, you know, like everyone is, as you said, different. So some people are more visual, others are more like auditive. So everyone can use a specific tool to hear the message that you have, that you want to share. And by the way, what is the message that you want to share today with our auditors?
If I had 3 words, it's 2 words actually. It's that you matter. Every single human being matters. I can't, if I can walk away making a handful of human beings in my life realize how much they matter when they haven't thought that they did matter before, I would be very happy. That's it for me.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Malik Hakim, for this interview, for this time. As you said, time is precious, and we appreciate that you took the time to discuss with us today. So again, we can find your books on Amazon, on your website, malik.ai. Thank you again. Thank you all for joining us today. We are waiting for you. Dr. Malik Hakim is waiting for you from the 26th to the 28th of August at the Ottawa Book Expo at Lansdowne Park. And we wish you to discover this beautiful work. It's positive, it's dynamic, and it's very inspiring. So we are waiting for you there. And thank you again for your time, Dr. Malik.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was wonderful. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you. See you there.